So we're here in Howard County, Missouri. I'm on a little business trip here. Early today so I could head over to the Howard County Courthouse, because in there is the Recorder of Deeds office, and what I'm really looking for here is that there were two mercenary camps that existed in the 1980s, 1985, 86. One was Rich's Love, Sweat and Tears, which was owned by Fred Rich, just outside of Columbia, just a little northeast of town there. And I think I know where that one is. I think his ex-wife still lives there, so we'll see what we do with that one. And the other one was owned by Jim Tank Wester. And Jim actually moved the camp. He bought it from Fred and relocated it into Howard County. And that's what I'm trying to find out, because that location, I was up reading last night, really interesting series of events that I didn't know about until last night when I got here. One of which was that they were having, they were tied up with this group called the Moonies, the Unitarian Church. Reverend Sung Myung Moon was a very hard right conservative organization that was going around Kansas City and other areas teaching courses, kind of anti-communist courses. They were also actively supporting the Contras supply efforts down in Nicaragua, Guatemala, and elsewhere, and had some kind of shady deals going on with some dictators as well, which we can get into at another time. But the Moonies, as they were known, were working with Jim Wester to resupply the Contras. And the head of the Moonies was a brigadier general who came out to visit this mercenary camp that Wester had just set up and relocated from the original site. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and find the deed in there, and on the deed we'll be able to see when the actual transfer occurred. We'll be able to hopefully find the plot of land that we're looking for, and then maybe we can do a drive-by and check out if it's still there and see where it all went down. So that's the game plan. So it's wild to me that 40 years ago, there was about, I don't know, 20 miles from here, we'll see, I'm getting the deed right now in the recorder's office, but there was a coup that was being planned on a farm, literally to invade my country of South America, not far from here. That's a serious book right there.
Yep. A lot of information. I'm not sure he still owns all this.
I don't think he does, no. So looks like September, or September 19th, 1986.
Yep.
It's just really cool history.
Yeah.
Just this whole room is cool.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. He must have owned this.
Yep. Doesn't even look like that strip has access to a road.
I know.
Like it's landlocked, but it's
Uh-huh.
cleared.
Yeah, exactly.
So he sold a piece of land that was landlocked.
So that's Wester's right there. See, Wester's that's who you're looking for. That's all he owns right there.
Okay.
And there is, it looks like a house, and it's right off of Y.
How do you get
right
there
on the highway?
How do you get there from here?
That I don't know.
All right, that was interesting. We were able to track down the location of his farm. It's actually just on the county line, about 20 minutes from here, so I'm going to drive by it and find it. Really cool little building here. Also really cool town square as well. But anyways, it looks like he transferred the deed back in September of 1986, which is weird because according to the newspaper documents, they were visiting the farm in April of 1986. So a couple of wrinkles we gotta iron out there, but we're on a lead. So I found it. It's right up the road up there. It's interesting. This area is getting grown up by a lot of people who want to move out of the city, and they look like they're buying these little hobby ranches and, you know, getaway places. But this house is not like that. And it's wild because it looks exactly like it did in the photograph in 1986. The same structure, gray, little, kind of a little bit ramshackle. You can see in the picture, in the newspaper article, it said Infinity Survival Camp, I believe, on it. And it looks exactly the same. But, so we're gonna do a little drive by, and we can see where this entire coup plan came out of this small little house in the middle of the woods in Missouri. And this is supposedly the house that a brigadier general flew in, inspected, and said, yeah, this looks good. Because there's a lot of kooks out there, but this one we're gonna put a rubber stamp of approval on. So here it is. The Infinity Survival Center. It's the same house in the photo. Sheriff was coming out here, doing regular inspections, checking the guns. That's it in all its glory. It always is weird, like, when you go back in history and you're going to places that you've only read about in books or news articles and things like that. This is the road that Hector Tellez, Jim Wester, Fred Rich, Jamie Bright, all these guys who plotted the invasion of Suriname, they all drove down this road. Like, literally, they drove right over to this plot of land right here. So that is Fred Rich's property, the location of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, or Rich's Blood, Sweat, and Tears. There used to be a cabin on that land that he had painted camouflage, and this is where they did it. This is where they all came and plotted the invasion of Suriname on this land. And it's just weird. It's weird to be there and just imagine this happening years ago, like in the middle of nowhere off a dirt road in Missouri. A group of former mercenaries, weekend warriors, thinking that they were going to stamp out communism and earn $1 million in the casino and the right to run a South American country, hatched a plan to go overthrow my neighbor on this dirt road in the middle of Missouri. Crazy. So, back to the hotel. What did we learn? We learned that the location of the two farms, or compounds, whatever you want to call them, that were used in the plotting of the raid on Suriname are still there. In the case of one of the farms, Jim Wester's, it still looks exactly the same. Still occupied by Jim, it appears. And in the case of Fred Rich, it appears that his former and ex-wife now occupies the lands. So it's odd driving through the country. There's still a lot of like division. There's still a lot of political nature of right on the houses. You saw a lot of the signs, a lot of guns, a lot of very ultra conservative Christian beliefs. It's really tough, you know, growing up Christian. You think of other countries as having fundamentalists, and we call other countries fundamentalist terrorists, right? But when our Christians, you know, go ahead and arm up and board a plane to South America to overthrow a country and kill people, we have a hard time calling our own people terrorists. But it's what they are. I mean, and it's what they did, right? And until we can own up to our own stuff and call it what it is, we're not going to ever rid ourselves of that kind of problem. It's in an extreme position. There's extreme on the left. There's extreme people on the right. and the best path is the middle way, but we got to call it what it is. The second thing that we got to figure out is, I don't know if the family is really going to want to talk to me, but I did find the names of some journalists who were involved in some of the stories that actually went out to the houses at the time. One of which is an independent journalist out in Dayton, Ohio. He founded a journalism lab out there. His name is Steve Banish. And I'm going to try to give Steve a call and see if Steve might give us a little bit more clues as to what he found when he was investigating the stories, and see where that leads. So that's my next conversation. I'll see what happens. So I left a message for the reporter. I'm going to see if he gives me a call back, but before I head out of town, I'm going to try a couple phone numbers here that might work for Fred's wife and see if she wants to chat with me. See how that goes. Maybe if I'm calling from a local number here instead of Iowa, that will help my cause.
Hello.
Okay. So we got her on the phone. We left her a message. We'll see how it goes. But at least we know she's still with us, so that's good news. All right, let you know. Well, I just got a phone call while I was leaving town from Fred's wife, and she's having a little bit of a rough day this morning, but she said she'd agreed to talk to me this afternoon. She says it's going back deep into the archives to try to remember this stuff, but I don't know. It's a lead, so we'll see where it goes. I'm heading back home. I'll call her when I get back. We'll see. Hey, this is Matthew. Thanks for watching the video. If you're curious to learn more about Suriname, the invasion of Suriname, or how it connects with the Iran-Contra affair, head on over to my Substack. You'll find the link in the description below. You can start at the beginning and get caught up soon. I'll try to post more videos, so if you've liked this, go ahead and like and subscribe for the next update and the next chapter.